So, welcome back, everyone. We are diving deeper into day two, where we're activating and optimizing the mind, body, spirit aspects of the self through disciplined practice. So once you find those tools, whether it's meditation or breath work or whatever the tool is, as long as you continue to show up for yourself and continue to put that into practice, then you really begin to optimize how the mind, body, spirit, the aspects of you that make you you, really come to fruition. And then we're able to move into embodiment. And of course, we're going to be talking about that on day three tomorrow. But right now, I'm super excited to introduce to you Satya Light, a dear friend, soul sister. We met a number of years ago at a retreat at a conference, and we've just been soulmates ever since. And I'm
Mm,
super grateful to have you here, Satya, and can't wait for you to dive into somatic healing and peak performance. And Satya is a trauma-informed, multidisciplinary practitioner and a mystic. So welcome,
mm.
Satya. How are you?
I'm great. Such an honor to be here, Lee. Thank you for having me.
An honor to have you here. So is there
Mm,
anything else you want to share about kind of who you are, just briefly? I mean, we'll circle back to that at the end, of course, but anything
mm,
else you want to
mm.
share?
Um, no, I think that would do it. Like I work with so many different modalities, and it's my highest excitement to support people in their healing journey.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Mm.
So can you go into somatic healing, like what it is, how it relates to peak performance, and then maybe just share with us some of the tools, depending on the situation and what people have identified. But yeah, I'll kind of let you take it away from here.
Mhm. Yeah. So when we bring in this somatic healing, soma means body. So somatic is of the body. So when we're talking peak performance, it is impossible for us to separate our nervous system and our trauma history from what's happening for us to actually get to a place like whatever that peak place for us is. So I'd like to bring in the perspective that we can only move in the speed of our nervous system. If we are like full of trauma and like we don't have any reference point of what's happening in the nervous system when life happens, and we are getting angry with ourselves like because we can't get whatever that peak place is because of the state of our nervous system. Like we are going to do all the biohacking, all the practices, everything, yet like we're going to be here because what is required for us in order to peak is to tend here. So tending here is to tending to the nervous system, tending to the body, work with the consciousness of the body. Because from the moment of conception until this moment here we are now, everything that's happening is recorded in the body. And if we're not using that information um, to receive our goals, we're not going to be working holistically. So in order for us to work holistically, we get to bring in the body part. And if I were to share practices, one of the things, the perspective that I'd like to bring is like really knowing the state of our nervous system. And there are certain ways in which we can actually um, really ask, okay, like, okay, in this scenario, how does my nervous system get activated? Like these are like know thyself. Knowing ourselves includes them the knowing ourselves on the nervous system level as well. So really getting curious about the bodily sensations. Are we even in the body? Are we even feeling like there's numbness? Numbness is real. So, and being out of the body, being disembodied is real, like phenomena. So, um, being so like having so much anxiety and not being grounded and like not knowing what to do is so real. And if we're carrying all that anxiety and waking up in the morning and drinking our bulletproof coffee and then doing our breath work, it's just going to be like we're going to be just more activated. So really knowing where our nervous state is. And sometimes that requires unpracticing, which is a very unpopular opinion in our, because like even me, like daily practice is a thing. Yes, sometimes the daily practice is not practicing. And that is really moving at the speed of the nervous system so that we can reach peak performance. And whatever that peak performance in that any given moment is. For me, the peakest performance is being really present here now so that I can listen what my needs are so I can actually take care of myself. Like cultivating self-awareness and presence so that, oh, okay, so this is what I need in this moment, so I can give that to myself. So the biggest gift we can give to ourselves is how we operate, and really waking up in the morning and having it a practice too. Oh, how do I feel today? What is present? What do I need? Where am I in my experience? And really giving that to ourselves. If you're waking up with anxiety of getting to a peak performance and giving yourself more anxiety action and coffee and like the fill is not going to get you there, because um like the golden piece is presence here. If you're not present, if we had all the time in the world, look, we can't get to the peak because you're not. Who's doing it? No one's home. So really being present of what is needed and getting to understand the state of nervous system. And there are so many different teachers teaching, like what these states are, and really finding a practice to support that. If you're really upregulated, if you're in fight or flight, we need to use certain tools to downregulate ourselves. If you're like this kind of like, because every time if you're doing the same meditation or breath work, that's not going to be always supportive, because you're constantly changing your experience. What's happening in life is constantly changing. Your responses, your nervous system responses are constantly changing. So really being present with what is happening so that I can bring in the useful tools. I hope that helps.
Absolutely. Can you give a couple of examples? So if you're feeling this, maybe you should do this. If you're feeling this, then maybe use this tool.
Yeah, I think like the biggest tools that are constantly with us, and we do not need anybody outside of ourselves, is the somatic tools: breath, sound, movement, touch, self-touch, contact. So learning to, like, if you're upregulated, learning to breathe in a way like this can be 1 to 2 breathing, like breathing count 1 and exhaling, inhaling count 1, exhaling count 2, so we can activate the parasympathetic nervous system to calm down. Or we can create experiences for us to, oh, I'm here, like really orienting ourselves into the place. Oh, like the somatic means like we being in the body, constantly checking in with the bodily sensations and mind in the body, like, constantly checking with the safety. And, like whatever is happening, if you're, really touching yourself and like, really being with that, like in that moment, you can afford to regulate yourself. So, upregulate or downregulate, doesn't matter where you are, you can use touch to come into regulation. And sometimes like rocking, like the movement, and also making sounds like you can and like sing and hum. These are all like really beautiful nervous system regulation tools. Doesn't matter where you're at. So going out to nature and grounding yourself is like, you can never go wrong with it. So like, it may sound so simple, yet these are like the most powerful tool that is constantly available to us. Because also I would like to add that it's when it comes to like I want to learn tools, what are the best tools and what are the best practices to get to A to B, right? Like we're always like the peak performance and like we're like we want to know like we're you know like what's happening in the world of like leading edge. The leading edge is the simplest way to regulate yourself, because when you're regulated and present, you are in the leading edge. That's where we can actually co-create our reality. If you're not present, there's no one home. There's no one home to be at the peak of the mountain. That's
Mm,
my thought.
I love that. So well put.
Mm.
And you're right. You know, the simplest things usually are the best. And I think as humans, we've gotten so good at overcomplicating everything. Like, oh, it can't be, if I just think and feel and tune into myself and then, regulate based on that, or if I just go out into nature, I'm gonna feel better. Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's really that simple, folks.
Yeah,
So I love that you
yeah,
shared all of that.
yeah.
Anything
And
else
don't
like
get me wrong, like I would like to add, sorry, like
please?
I'm not against like, using epic supplements and like really supporting our body with like, like high vibrational, high nutritional food and, like supplements. I'm not against this. I'm not against like the biohacking or the concept of really supporting holistically. Yet, if we miss a piece, that will only like the only one piece is not going to get us where we want to be, and the if like the nervous system piece I think is the biggest piece,
Mhm.
so that we can use add tools, like there's always different tools to support ourselves wherever we are in that moment in time. So I'm not against the idea of peak performance or biohacking or like really supporting ourselves to really have a vibrant like shiny life. But
Mhm.
how do we do it? I think that's the question, and where we are doing it from.
Yeah, absolutely. And really using the I feel like we've got external and internal technologies. And I feel like what you're speaking to is the internal technology, right? Like being able to use the breath and really just check in with the self and the touch, like everything that you mentioned. And then when we've kind of got a handle on all of that and put those pieces together, then we can look to the external technologies to continue to upregulate our internal technology game, if you will. That's kind of how I look at it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. Yeah.
Hmm. So what does you kind of alluded to it before a little bit, but what does peak performance actually mean to you?
I actually responded to that, but and I'm going to repeat that. Peak performance for me is to be present in the moment and to be able to
Hmm.
listen to myself, to support myself in any given moment instead of, like accepting where I am in this moment is peak performance for me. Because if I am projecting myself into a future that is not here aligned with where I am now, I'm going to create more suffering. And being at my peak performance is being present and taking care of my needs in the moment.
Mm, again, so simple, right? And
Hmm.
again, I think we've gotten so programmed to be thinking about the future and worrying about everything outside of us, or there's stuff from our past that we can't let go of, and it's like how many people are able to come truly into the present moment, and that really
Hmm.
is where all the magic is. It's where you can discern if you're out of balance or if you're being triggered or if you're somebody's overstepping your boundaries. But how do you be aware of those things if you're not in the present moment?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Say we say the biggest like the most valuable thing that we have as humans is time, but it's actually really present. Like that can get like once we're present, we can actually from that place co-create with the universe, and like that's when we can peak. as conscious co-creators.
Mm, so good. So good. Satya, is there anything else you want to share with regards to somatic healing and peak performance? Anything else that's kind of coming to mind for you that maybe is a need to know for our viewers?
Mm, yeah. I think I shared most of the important stuff, but like really, really in simplicity, and patience, because like when there's body, and all the years of programming that we're working with, you know, time will not heal us if we're not consciously doing the work. But if we're doing the work consciously, we need time. So being really gentle with ourselves and really constantly, holding ourselves. And that's the only, and the forever relationship that we have is here, and
Mm,
being really gentle and patient with ourselves in this journey of like really unraveling the body and this, like quantum computer that we're living in.
mm. What the for people that, because I know even for myself, gentle is something that I've really had to tune into and learn, because I'm just like, okay, like I gotta go, I gotta heal, I gotta go deeper, I gotta go faster, So how can somebody who's not used to treating themselves gently do so?
Mm, that's a great question. Well, we can actually teach ourselves, and we can look at the patterns of like how we're treating ourselves, because how we're really treating ourselves and how we're treating the world, and the world also in return treats us. So like slowing down and like really, it's also like the feminine principles, right? Like we are so used to doing things in a certain way, and now we're learning. So to learn something new, we get to actually check how we have been doing it, and then how can I, change one thing at a time, you know, like really in the simplest, like the most mundane things. How do I prepare my coffee in the morning? Or how do I brush my teeth? Like, am I being gentle with myself? Like,
Mm,
am I taking my time? Am I soft enough? Like in this moment. And that that will actually in and of it, like really bringing those energetics, will the energy will be our teacher, I believe.
mm, I love that. So really it begins with intention, right? Because
Yeah.
that's, yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that.
Just like
We've
everything
been
else.
so, yeah, yeah. Again, we've
Hmm.
been so programmed to, I think we kind of, most of us anyways, take over the role of the abuser and begin treating ourselves harshly. And I believe that that's a learned behavior, and then before
Hmm.
you know it, however many years have gone by and we're, calling ourselves idiots and like, oh, fuck, like, why'd you do that? Sort of thing. And,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. That's the
yeah.
voice that's the voice that we grew up with, especially if the abuse is happening in the house that we grew up in. That's what we know as love. Like that's love. You know,
Mhm.
our ultimate intention is to love ourselves, but we don't have the definition of love. So that's what we're doing to ourselves essentially. So really, like as we are healing, I think this is the biggest piece. As we're healing, constantly redefining these concepts that we are taught is so necessary. And
Mm,
that's gonna, like bring that, because I mean, I don't know, this may be really off topic, but like as we're in this journey of like really creating, cultivating practices and cultivating center and lightening our load and like really embodying our truth, what is required. We can't continue the path with what was defined for us. So we need to
mhm.
now start redefining a lot of things. So that brings up like, what is love? Like, how do I love? How do I want to
Yeah.
be loved? You know?
Yeah. I love asking clients, do you really know everything that you think you know? Like, have you actually
Hmm.
asked these questions? Have you actually sat with yourself? Have you gone back to, like, even something as simple as like a ritual that you've continued from childhood, right? Like, do you know the reason behind the ritual or why you
Mhm,
celebrate a certain day or holiday or, that sort of thing? Or is it just something that you've always done? So really
mhm,
going into, do you actually know everything that you think you know? Or is it just
mm,
here?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Really staying curious. And that will
Mhm.
actually also teach us to think for ourselves and, you embody our sovereignty. So that's like another topic in and of itself, but also
Mhm.
like really, like I don't think as humanity, we're thinking we know, like to think for ourselves. Like we hear all these shiny concepts and like we know the concepts, yet yeah, like redefining and unraveling all that stuff will support us into our freedom.
Mm. Oh, so good. So good.
Mm,
So Satya, how can people get a hold of you? What are you up to in the world?
mhm,
Yeah, just anything you want to share in that regard.
mhm. I'm really active on Instagram. I think that's the only like platform, like social media platform that I'm actually actively using, and I am um, going with Satya Light. And I do have my links and my offerings in the links. I'm currently only offering one-on-one work and sharing my writings. So if people want to, like dive deep and then really get curious about the work that I do, they can get in touch.
That's beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, and we'll have links and everything to all of your stuff and how people can get in touch with you. Thank you so much for doing this, Satya. It's always an honor for me to connect with you, and I'm sure our viewers were able to get some really beautiful pearls of wisdom from that. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me and sending blessings to everyone.